Hi. What happened to the cat that swallowed the ball of yarn? Well, stay with me to the end of the video and I will tell you. My name is Bob Hill, Jokes by Bob Hill. I've been telling jokes for 40 years and I thoroughly enjoy telling jokes and making people laugh. If you like what you hear, subscribe to my channel, and if you want notifications, hit the bell. And give me a like if you like it. If you don't like, there's the other button. But if you do, please put in the comments why you don't like it and how I can improve. Also, if you would, if you've heard any of my jokes in the past and like a particular joke, please tell me and I will put it at the top of the list. If you have jokes of your own that you want to share with people, put them in the comments, and I will also put them on the top of my list. The jokes I tell are public domain. That means there's no copyright on them. So you can share them, I can share them, make other people laugh. Also, if you do find something that it has got a copyright on it, please tell me so I can either remove it or get permission from the person who does have the copyright on it. Okay, we will get started. There was these three golfers and they'd go out every Sunday morning. They'd enjoy golfing. So they'd go out sometimes 6, sometimes 7 in the morning. They just enjoyed it. And they were out one morning, got checked in, and the first tee, and the golf pro came out and says, "Hey, there's this young lady that has nobody to golf with. Can she join your group?" And they reluctantly said yes. And after the golf pro left to go tell her that she could join them, he said, they were just saying, "Ah, man, I hope she doesn't slow us down. We got this routine. We're here and enjoy golf, and then we go." Well, she comes around and she's really good looking, and so they're not so boisterous about things, and they get going golfing, and man, she's doing great. She's golfing better than they are. Well, they get to the 18th hole, and everybody's on the green, and this young lady has a 20-foot shot to make par. She's 1 under par, 18 holes, 1 under par. That's great. I've never done that, but anyway, she says, "Man, one shot, one putt, and I will make par. The first time I ever made par." She says, "If one of you fine gentlemen can tell me what is the line I need to use to get par, I will make you a good, nice dinner, and we can have a romantic evening." Well, the young men, the two young men jumped on it. "I think it's right to aim to the right lip." And the other said, "No, aim to the left lip." Well, the older, more experienced golfer went over and picked up her ball and handed it to her and said, "It's a gimme." This midget lady came into the doctor one day and says, "My crotch is really hurting. Can you tell me why?" And the doctor lifted her up on the table and they gave her an exam, and he asked her, "Well, I can't see what's causing any problems. Is there a particular time it hurts worse?" And she said, "Yes, every time it rains, I get hurting way bad." And he said, "Well, maybe when it's raining, if you get a chance, you can come in and we can check things out." And so a couple of weeks later, it's raining hard, and she goes right to the doctor and goes in there, and doctor says, "Oh, okay." And he lifts her up on the table, says, "Lie down," and he gets his tools out and snip, 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 and puts her on the floor and says, "Now walk around." And she walks around, and the doctor says, "Is that any better?" Oh, she says, That's great. That feels a whole lot better. What did you do?" And I said, "I cut the tops of your boots off about 2 inches. What is the definition of a babysitter? A babysitter is a teenager acting like an adult while the adults go act like teenagers. This little boy came home from his first day of school and his mom's got all kinds of questions. She was like, how was your day? Oh, it was good. Did you have fun? Oh, it was okay. Did you meet a lot of other little kids? Yeah, there's some fun kids there. And what else happened? What did you learn? He says, well, I must not have learned much because they want me back tomorrow. This police officer had a 12-hour shift, and he was in the office. He's working, and the next guy came in to relieve him so that down the week he could have some time off. And so he heads home about 2 in the morning instead of 6 in the morning. He gets home and he doesn't want to wake his wife up, so he very quietly walks up to the room and goes in and gets undressed in the dark, reaches for the blanket, and his wife sees him and wakes up and says, honey, I got a terrible headache. Can you run down to that drugstore on the corner and get me some aspirin? So he goes over in the dark and slips his clothes on and goes down to the drugstore. And the drugstore guy's looking at him a little strange, and he says, aren't you Randy? Aren't you a police officer? He says, yes, I am. He says, well, why are you wearing the firefighter clothes? This old elderly man, Snyder, I guess I'll call him, it was his birthday. He was 70 years old, and he's just sitting there and saying, 70 years old, nothing to do, no one around, and a knock comes at the door. So he goes over to the door and he says, a young man says, I have a telegram for you. And he thinks, well, you know, I've never had a singing telegram. Can you make it a singing telegram? He said, I did some in the past, but I'm not very good at it. Oh, come on, make it a telegram. It's my birthday. Would you please make it a singing telegram? And so he thinks, la-da-dee, dee-dee-da, your sister Rose is dead. Not very good, huh? When I was in high school, and you get up early to pick cherries and everything else, and go to bed early, and it was kind of nice to get things done, and there was this little saying, early to bed, early to rise, and your girl goes up with other guys. Michelle Obama, well, I think it was in her first 4 years or so at the White House, and she says, living in the White House is like living in prison with a cook. Now, if she didn't want to live there, she didn't have to. This blonde guy come home early one evening from work, and he hears a ruckus up in his bedroom. So he goes up there, and his wife's in bed, and she's perspiring, breathing hard, and she says, honey, I'm having a heart attack. And so he runs down to grabs the phone and dials 911, and his little boy says, Uncle Ted's up in the closet with no clothes on. He slams that phone down and goes up and opens the closet. Sure enough, Uncle Ted's there. And he says, Ted, you gotta stop being so rude. My wife's having a heart attack and you're up here with no clothes on scaring the kids. That's gotta stop. This efficiency expert went to this business one day, and he after his preliminaries, he's got everybody gathered in, and he's telling them how to improve and what to do to use better use of their time. And he says, and you use all these at work. Don't worry about them at home. And somebody in the back says, hey, why not? And he says, well, I was at home and my wife's doing this. She'd go to the cupboard, bring something to the table, and then she'd go to the fridge and bring something. And I asked her one day, wouldn't it be more time time efficient if you went to the cupboard, brought everything you needed to the cupboard, and then from the fridge you brought everything there, and the guy in the back says, well, did it help? Yeah, and he says, yes, it did. It used to take my wife 20 minutes to do my breakfast. It now takes me 7 minutes to do breakfast. Just one more, maybe. Nick DePaulus was listening to rap. He was listening to rap. He says, I have no choice. It's 4 miles away. Now, a questionable joke. This guy went into the doctor one day. He says, Doc, I am having a terrible time talking every time I go in, and I can enjoy a party until I start talking and people give me rude looks. Is there something you can do for me? So the docs gave him an examination, all kinds of exams. Took 2 or 3 days with all the different exams. He calls him in and he says, well, sir, I think I found out the problem. Your penis is too long and it's pulling on your larynx. And if I do a surgery, I take out about 3 or 4 inches out of the center, then it won't be pulling so hard, and you'll be able to talk a whole lot better. He said, okay, Doc, I will think about it. Well, he goes to work and still all these girls, and he goes to a party and everybody's kind of shunning him because anytime he opens his mouth, he can't say a word without sounding really bad. So he goes to the doctor and says, Doc, I think we better do the surgery. I want to be able to socialize and be able to do a lot better. And so the doc says, okay. They took him in and they did the surgery, and they woke him up and he said, hey, everything went well. Give it a few days, couple of weeks, and see how it works. So a couple of weeks later, he's sitting there, he's talking great, and he thinks, man, that could be a conversation piece maybe at my house. So he goes back to the doctor and says, you know that piece that you took out of me? I thought about, do you know where it is? I thought about using it for a conversation piece. And the doctor says, I think it's hanging around here somewhere. And the answer is, she had mittens. That's the answer to the riddle. The riddle is, what happened to the cat that swallowed the ball of yarn? She had mittens. And you have a great day.